These two people are each breaking free from the like spiritual oppression that they've had. I feel like it might be because of like religion, cultural things. It could be capitalism, the patriarchy, just all this like oppression that they are realizing has been stifling them. And they went on this journey, this spiritual awakening individually. And as they've like deconstructed, they started to feel very alone as individuals and kind of wondering like, am I going to find a partner that is going to understand this and is going to be able to like go through this with me and bring me to a place of not just like spiritual deconstruction. It's almost like going from an existential crisis place to being able to be like, okay, now after that, where's the love? And that is what this relationship is. It's like this relationship after some of that spiritual deconstruction, you know, global perspective deconstruction, to now being able to find like a brighter light again. I'm getting the Hierophant card as well as the Moon. The Hierophant card is about like tradition and old, especially old tradition that is not necessarily serving you anymore, structure that could be too rigid. And look at how even there's like the lightning bolt like going through it, and it's like they're finding the key. It's like almost the patriarchy or the church or something like that saying like, we're the only ones that have the key. And these two people are realizing like, no, that was an illusion. And I even feel like with the Moon card, I even feel like with the two trees, it's kind of giving the idea of like twins. I want to be so careful because I do think a lot of actually like twin flame stuff also needs to be super deconstructed. So I'll talk about that more as we go through this reading, but I'm also seeing on the bottom of the deck the Temperance card, and just look at the stark difference between the Hierophant and the Temperance card. It's like going from this like darkness where you were being held back and being kind of like trapped by the illusion of like supposedly this was like the dream place to be, to really being like, no, there's actually something so much better that's much more divinely guided. And in this deck, the Temperance card, it's a stork, so that's like a birth, right? And then also it kind of looks like Phoenix energy here with like the crying, but then the fire like rising from the ashes in a way. And so that like rebirth idea is really here. And it's interesting because I had been hearing the song "I Alone" by Live, and if you hear that song, that is definitely a huge sign or synchronicity. But you don't have to hear the song. But that was what I was hearing. And in my mind's eye, I was seeing the Death card. Don't get scared by that. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But I was seeing it as like a bird. And I was like, wait, I think that's actually from this deck. If you watch me a bunch, you know that I have like a deck that I almost always use. But I also really like this deck, the Wild Unknown Tarot. And I was like, I think it's this deck. And I went, and this was literally when I was seeing this card. And so another sign or synchronicity for you might be seeing a dead bird. It could be or like a bird skeleton that this reading is for you, and that there's something about this like divinely aligned like soul connection as you're going through this spiritual awakening. I definitely wanted to dig into this a lot more because it's honestly really deep. And I think it's really important to understand also the concept of twins. I'm also getting 222 as a sign for this reading. And I have initials. Let's actually start there and then we'll talk more. Okay, so for initials for this reading, I'm getting E, K, C, D, G, T, P. And I'm also specifically getting names that end with the letter D. Okay, it can start with D, obviously, because that was one of the letters, but names that end with D. So like Enid or Edward, or it could be a last name like Sheffield or something like that. So yeah, let me know if that resonates for you. But like I said, we're going to dive into so much more detail on this. So I'm going to Ace of Cups. I'm going to meet you at a part 2. We'll talk about this love that's coming in.